All right, all right, all right. We have some people joining in now. Let's give everyone a minute to join in. And like always, let's do a little tech check. Drop it in the chat where you're calling in from. We got the note takers. Okay. New York City, Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee, grew up there, went to school there, lived there. Now I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Vancouver, BC, Seattle, Houston, LA, nice, Missouri, Minnesota. Okay, everyone can hear me. That's great. Oh, we got some fellow ATLian from Atlanta. Alina, nice to meet you. Iowa. Okay, so everyone can hear me. Let's go ahead and kick this off then. We got about 70 people in the room right now, so I think we're ready to get started. So for those of you that don't know what this is our monthly new feature recap. On this webinar, our goal is to share some of the new recent features so you can stay up to date, but also get feedback on what's coming next, give you visibility on what's coming next so we can build the best product possible. Also get feedback on the new features to see if there's anything that we missed and make improvements. So goal is to give you visibility on what's new, what's next, and for us to get feedback on how to build it better. So let's jump on in. Um, Let me share my screen. What is MAD? Okay, so this is something we actually did with Dawn Brolin. If you're not, she's a designated motivator. So get mad. I'll just show you the back of my shirt. It's motivate, automate, and dominate. So it's just talking about this collab we did with Dawn Brolin, where she motivates, we help you automate, then so you can dominate. So that's where that comes from, MAD. Um, we passed these out, I think it's Scaling New Heights. So if you're there, you got one of these shirts, limited edition collector's item now. Um, so let's jump in. Let me share my screen. Okay, perfect. You guys can see my screen. Give me confirmation. Drop it in the chat. Looks like there's a little bit of a delay. Okay, perfect. Let's get started then. So let's start out with some of the new improvements. So I'm going to hit up some of the billing improvements first. So one of the biggest improvements we've been constantly asked for on the billing side is the ability to edit recurring invoices. So if you had a recurring invoice schedule set up, let's say every month, editing the recurring invoice schedule was really hard because you basically have to delete the recurring schedule, recreate the recurring invoice to update the future invoices. Now, what you can do is if you go into, like, let's say a client's recurring invoice schedule, you'll have the ability to click these three dots and edit that recurring invoice. So this allows you to edit it much more easily and makes it a better experience. So that's a small thing, but a big thing, I like to say. Um, oh, looks like I'm getting hit with the note takers. We got a thank you there. That's awesome. Christopher, I'm glad you have like it. Yeah, we're really excited about that. That was probably the biggest thing we got asked about on the invoicing side. So that is released. Another thing is I'll show it here is you can now see grouped line items on the invoice. So if you have a grouped line item on an invoice, you could see it when you were creating the invoice, but once you invoiced it and you went back to look at that invoice, you wouldn't be able to see what was in that grouped line item. So now on the invoice, you can click that to view the grouped items that are grouped on that line item in the invoice after it is sent to the client and paid. So just a small but important update there. Um, the other thing, so the others are simple too, but they're big and they're workflow improvements. So a lot of we've been hearing from a lot of our customers that there's a lot of improvements on workflow that our customers want to see, which makes sense. A lot of our firm owners, they come to Financial Sense for workflow from day one. That's the core what everyone's trying to solve. And I think this past year, we spent a lot of time on billing, and we haven't been able to make a lot of those updates to the workflow side. So now we're getting back to workflow. We also doubled the size of our team so we can go a little faster, which is excited on the dev side. So you're going to be seeing a lot of workflow improvements over these next few months coming out. And we released some of them this month already. So I'm excited to share some of these. So a small one is client audit log. So we have some new actions you can see in the client audit log for client tasks. You can now see when a client previews a file that you shared with them, and also when they download a file that you share with them in the audit log. So just more visibility on the audit log for client requests, which is really great. Um, let's see. Just checking some questions. Okay, so let's talk about the other workflow improvements. A really big one is, or let me go to a different one, is the notes tab now on a project. Now you have the ability to add notes to your project. So if there's item, you probably put throwing all that in the task descriptions or all these weird places. Now there's a notes tab. You can, and you have formatting so you can put notes. This will recur with your project. So the project recurs, the notes will follow. We've already got some good feedback on this. Some people want to see like some sort of indication that there is notes. So when your team's looking at the list, they can see like an icon that shows that there's notes on the project. We are adding that. But I'm curious if you've already used this, if you have other feedback that you'd like to share. The notes is internal for your team. It is not for your clients. Jenny, if you could send me a message after this about what you mean about the chatbot. Oh, the chatbot? Okay, I'll let the support team know. But yeah, drop in the client notes. If anyone's used it yet, I'm curious to get some feedback. Anything we can do to make it better other than the notification icon while I send this to the team. Okay. I would like to see a place to put a note for the month in that won't recur, but would show up on the main clients page. Okay, that's good. Um, might to have ability to add multiple notes like we can with client notes section. I'm curious, what do you guys feel about that? Do you like just the one long note section, or do you want the ability to add multiple notes, kind of like on the client note section? So the thing about team chat is when the project recurs, the chats don't recur with the project, right? So the notes will recur with the project. That's the big difference between chat and notes. And so actually going back to like having it recur, the argument we were thinking was Team Chat could be a place where you want to put notes that don't recur with the project. I'm not sure if that works. So Robert, right now it's just one note, so there's no need to pin it. You could, right? So you could come here if you really wanted to. Like, this is my thought on like the multiple notes section. Like, if you just have one, you can come here, you can say like, I don't know, you can date timestamp this like November 5th, right? And then, you know, note, 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 right? And then I can like make this like a header if I want, right? And then I can come here and say, okay, let's say November, 15th, like in the future, do the same thing, note, note, note. And then, so like, I'm wondering if this is enough, given we have all these formatting issues, do you really need the multiple client notes like, like, like you see in the other place? So curious, what do you guys think? Oh, looks like I've changed some opinions. This is interesting. Okay, that's great. All right, so client project notes. So, use this next over the next month. We'll come back next month and ask for some more feedback on it. Um, okay, so next thing. Let's come back to this. This is a big one. It's small. You may not have noticed it, but it's a big one. So now, when a client uploads a document to the client task or a request item, it will automatically get added to the files tab here on the project. Again, now, when a client uploads a document to a client task, it will automatically get added to the project files tab. This is something a lot of people have been asking for because they were having to like they want to be able to come here and see the client task files. They don't want to have to go and find the client task, like where the file was uploaded, right? So it's automatically going to flow up to the project level, and it's not just going to live here anymore. Now, what's going to be really cool is the next update for this is when you're looking at all the client task uploads here, you have the ability to select multiple ones and then move it to any file inside of Financial Sense. So you don't have to download it and move it to the client's profile anymore. Like that way. You could just select the files you want and bulk move them to a folder on the client's profile or anywhere on the client's profile. So that's coming next. It's like a building block into that direction. Um, Jane, the notes do apply, do recur with the project. Uh, So that's big. I actually like to get your opinion on this because there was a thought of having, the client task uploads automatically go here and also automatically going to the client's profile. But our concern is security and permission. Like, do you want all client upload documents to automatically go to the client's profile because a team member may have access to that client's profile? Or would you prefer, is the bulk moving enough to where you can just mass select and move them to the client's profile versus having to like it automatically going? Bulk is good enough. Okay, bulk move. Okay, yeah, because you have a little bit more control over who gets access to it that way. Okay, we were thinking right there for the most part, it looks like. Um, So that's gonna be great. You'll also be able to move it too from here. So it does like if you have an upload here, you say, hey, I want to move it to a folder, you can do it from here too. So that's gonna be really exciting. Um, so let's talk about some of the other improvements, right? So those are some of the new releases, but we got a lot of big improvements coming to workflow. So some of the new ones, simple, but also important, focused on usability. A lot of you guys have been asking for an expand collapse all option. So we're gonna put a button here that's expand or collapse all, so you can collapse all your sections or expand all your sections. That's coming. Um, Another is bulk editing tasks. So you'll be able to basically how we're thinking about it is you click an edit button here, and then you'll be able to select all the tasks and then change the assignees, change the due dates is kind of what we're thinking. So bulk editing the tasks in this view. Um, Lisa, I don't know about moving out of the client chat. That's something I'm gonna have to check with the team on. So yeah, so two big things, bulk editing tasks and collapse and expand all. Another big one we saw in the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, go join it because we listen to it. We get a lot of feedback there. Is the ability to make a team's task section not recur with the project. Um, so basically, you have the option here to make this not recur. So when the project recurs, the section will still recur, but the tasks in the section won't recur. So basically, that way, like you can put like non-recurring tasks in there. It's like a catch-all for the project. A lot of yeses there, a lot of excitement. Um, and then another small thing that we've been seeing is when someone's creating a project, the ability to warn you, like if a client is not selected. Like it'll be like, hey, are you sure you want to create this project? Because sometimes your team members will create a project without a client that you don't know what client that was supposed to be for. It was like a real quick, there's no client assigned to this project. Are you sure you want to do that? So that's another small thing um, to catch. Um, Okay, so those are some of like the high level workflow improvements that are coming. A big one that will be released. So V1 of, so there's two versions of this. Going back to Google Drive, OneDrive, and I even think SharePoint. Last the conversation looks like it's going to be possible with SharePoint too. Is the Google OneDrive and SharePoint integrations. So if you used it privately, it's been in private beta because there's been a lot of improvements we need to make to it. But releasing this publicly, and V1, you're going to be able to uh, an easier way to match like your current clients with the folders in Google Drive, OneDrive, and SharePoint. So that way, inside of here, you'll be able to access the Google Drive or OneDrive folder. But what's going to be really cool is when you're on the client's profile, uh, you'll be able to well, actually no, this is not in V1. So two things. With the Google Drive and OneDrive integration and SharePoint integration that's coming out, you'll be able to match your clients easily, like in bulk with the folders. And then obviously we've already had this, but when you add a new client to Financial Sense, it'll automatically create that folder of Google Drive, OneDrive, or SharePoint. So it automatically creates the folders. Eventually we want to have folder structures so it can create like the folder templated in Google Drive, OneDrive, and SharePoint. Um, but then, and then also what's really cool is it will automatically uh, add all the documents you have in Financial Sense to Google Drive and OneDrive. So it will back up all your documents and folders in Google Drive and OneDrive. So, which will be really great. So it will be in sync. So you have that backup. Now, V2, which will also be coming this year, is it's going to be a two-way sync. So basically, you'll be able to view all the folders and documents you have in Google Drive and OneDrive inside of Financial Sense. You don't have to go to Google Drive, OneDrive, or SharePoint anymore. They will live here in this tab, and you can open those Google Drive folders. You can open those Google Drive documents all from inside of here. So it's a two-way sync. What will also allow us to do is a desktop sync. So if you use the Google Drive and OneDrive or SharePoint integration, you can then essentially sync all your documents in Financial Sense to Google Drive and OneDrive, and through that, sync it to your desktop. So now you can access all the documents and files in Financial Sense on your desktop through that integration, which also, a big part of that means if you use a system, you can now print your documents from your tax system to Financial Sense through that integration. So the Google Drive OneDrive is going to open up a lot of things. It's going to give us the tax integrations to the print drive function. It's going to allow us to sync your documents in Financial Sense to your desktop. It's going to back everything up as well and just create an overall better experience. So big things coming with that one. Uh, looks like sorry, Miriam, no share file yet. Um, sure. Alice, that's a really good question. I know the team's been working on that. I don't know the specifics around it yet, but I'm hoping to have it for you soon, hopefully in the next webinar. But from my understanding, it's like it's gonna mirror exactly what's in the other folder. I don't know how it affects like duplicates. V1, I don't know the specifics, but both versions will be out this year in the next 2 months. So I assume I'm hoping to see Google Drive and OneDrive by the end of this month. So in November, I think that would make sense. Um, okay. So another thing, which I don't know if, let me check if it's working, is some AI functionality. So if you use client chat, let's actually go here. You're going to start seeing this little AI button here. I wonder if this works. So you'll see, because this is in beta, but you'll see like an option for like help me write or draft a reply. So for example, let's say help me write. Okay, it's not working. Yeah, so this isn't live yet. So this is coming. I don't know if I'm supposed to show this yet, but let's come here. You also see it in emails. So you'll be able to use this to like maybe help me write. So maybe it's um asking for feedback on the bookkeeping deliverables. I don't know. Right. So let's see if this works. No, actually, so I don't think it's live yet, but I'm giving you an example. I'm getting a little ahead of my skis on this, but we're gonna have an AI functionality where we can help you write a response or auto draft a reply. So like if you go to an existing female email, you'll be able to like draft a reply based off the contents of the email. But also you could see this too, there's gonna be a summarized threads. So if you have like multiple threads in email, you just want a summary of it, you can click this and it'll summarize the threads. This is like on my I have access to this because it's like in testing and they're being building it now. But this is going to be really cool if you want like the AI responses to save you time. I don't know. In V1, it won't be able to access a client file or personalized notes to like to make the response stronger. It's more just it's going to read the contents of the email. Cindy, that was not going to come in this update, but that is one of the things we're working on. I'm going to make a note of this. Okay, so some of the email functionality. Now let's talk about something big that's coming. Let's talk about the month in close functionality that we're going to be releasing V1 next week. So let's go to the client's profile and I'm going to show you what this looks like. So what is month in close? Month in close is making it easy, basically allowing you to do like your transaction review, your account reconciliation, your vendor and account review and quality control all from within financial sense built it into your checklist, right? So what does this include, right? What reports? So you can kind of you'll see this when we release it, but there's some things that are coming first. So in the first version we're going to have the account reconciliation piece and we're going to have the transaction review piece. um, so basically, you'll be, and then in V2, you'll be able to do the vendor and account review, as well as W-9 and 1099 requests, and then quality control, which we'll talk about. So let's walk through this. Like, what is month end close? What is it going to consist of, right? So first is the account reconciliation. So you'll be able to quickly identify which accounts have been reconciled and when was the last reconciliation? So you'll know, are you ready to start the month end close process? Then, and you'll be able to do this all from within financial sense, right? It's and it'll be a two-way sync to QBO. You can edit the transactions. You can ask the clients about them. You can then push it to QBO. Well, and I'll show you how these work. But the second piece is the transaction review, right? You look at the uncategorized transactions. Look at transactions without payees, without class, without location, inconsistent expenses, large transactions, right? It's basically going to flag them. So like this is inconsistent expenses. I can see all them now. So you're getting a sneak peek of this. I can see like all the transactions, like the past transactions, right? To see like why it's inconsistent. And then I'll be able to, if I want to, I can ask my client about it, or I can approve it and send it to QBO. I can make changes to the transaction live from inside of Financial Sense, right? I can change like all this information when I look at that report. And you can do that with all of these, right? Transactions without locations. Okay, so let me ask maybe the client about this. I can send it to the portal. I can ask them a question about it. Um, and then if I like it, I can make the changes I want to the category or the vendors or uh, a class or like again here, like this is the location, so I can change the location and then send it to QBO. So basically like two-way sync with QBO with helping you doing your month end close project process inside a financial sense. Um, so you have the transaction review reports, right? But you also have the vendor review reports. So you can see newly added vendors, accounts, duplicate vendors or customers. And then what's really cool, and I'll show you this, is you can do the 1099 prep. Easily see all the vendors that were over $600 in spend. You can request the W-9 from them and then push that W-9 to QBO to file the 1099. And then quality control. Here we'll basically have a link to the QBO report so your team can access the QBO report from inside of Financial Sense, do your quality control, and then mark that done. So high level, right, of what month-end close is going to include. But let's talk about what that looks like inside a financial sense outside of the client profile. What's going to be really cool, makes it very valuable, is that you're going to actually be able to add this whole list to your project. So if I go in here, you'll see like it should be monthly bookkeeping. Again, this is a design. Doesn't make sense to say tax return, but you'll be able to see the actual reports in the checklist, right? So reviewing consistent expenses. Your team member can come here, click this, it slides out. They can review the inconsistent expenses, resolve the issues, ask the client about it, push it to QBO after they make the updates. And then once they finish it, they can mark it completed. That's review uncategorized transactions. Review the transaction. They go through all those steps and do the report and everything all from inside of here without ever leaving financial sense, right? And then, so it's one experience for your team, but it's also happening inside of our client portal. So it's one portal experience for your clients. So you don't have to use like a separate tool like a Zenit or a Keeper. Um, so this is kind of what it's going to look like inside of the project, right? And let's say the reconciliation piece, you can see when everything all from inside the project. So there's a lot of questions. I'm going to go to the chat, but next I'm going to show you the W-9 and 1099 request piece, because I think that's going to be very valuable for the end of this year if you're interested in it. So we've been beta testing this for the last month with a lot of our users. We made a lot of improvements to the design and everything. Um, so this is going to be working really well and very powerful right off the gate when we release this next week. Um, Clients cannot pick the class and location, but that is something we can add if we feel like that's valuable. I haven't heard of check the level actually. Curious about that. Let me make a note. Um, Hey, actually, quick question. Or actually, let me get to these questions first, because I don't want to lose all these different things. Show level, I think better. Uh, I'm not sure about the negative liabilities and assets, but it should like this is just the first round of reports. We will be adding more reports. Natalia. Um, clients pick class, P, location. I'm just making notes and location. Can we add customize? Can we add a customized report to the monthly and close for a client? What do you mean by that, Diane? Can we add a customized report to the monthly close for the client? Example, P&L by class. You have to come outside of it to mark the task done. Yes, Natalie, you'll be able to edit like these reports and then choose the classes and stuff. So all these like will be editable. So if I go back, like let's say like I'm looking at like uncategorized transactions, for example, you can manage the accounts, that pool. And the same for like all some of these, there's not much to edit. Like, you'll have exclusion lists, right? Like all these reports will be defaulted, but they can be edited to like large transactions, for example. You can select like what is the transaction, what should it be larger than to show. So you have all those different options. Um, okay, so let's one question. Oh yeah, going back to this. So you see this here, how I have 70% complete. I'm wondering, is that valuable to see? Like, and I don't know if it should be 70% complete or if it should just show the number of issues flagged, right? The number of inconsistent expenses. So like maybe like 8 transactions. Would it be better to show that? Um, okay, show number of transactions. And maybe there is a way to do both. But numbers is, and you would want to show that makes sense for All of them. Or like, okay, 5 of 20. So is it better to show like just like, hey, 8 transactions are flagged in this report? Or would it be better to show like 8 of 20 resolved? Which one? I see total number. I see 8 of 20, 8 of 20. Okay. Okay. Let me, I'll talk. Okay, this is good feedback. I'll talk with the team about that. That's good. It gives you more visibility. Um, okay, so now I want to talk about the 1099 report. So this is going to be really cool. And the goal, I saw this question, is to release this 1099 should be released by this end of this month, this report. So you can use it for the end of the year to handle all your 1099s and save you guys massive amounts of time. So basically, you'll see a 1099 W-9 preparation report. And what this does is it's going to show all the vendors above, let's say, a $600 spend. You can customize that. So all the vendors where there's more than a $600 spend. So now you don't have to go and find all the vendors in QBO that were above $600. It's automatically going to filter and display them right here in Financial Sense for you. Then you'll be able to see whether there's uh, you like you're in QBO, you've said you want to track a 1099 or not for the client. If you then if you need a 1099, what you can do is you then have the option to request the 1099. Let me close this one. Final. Request the 1099 from the vendor or the client. So you can send them an email and with an automated reminder say, hey, upload the 1099. I need, or sorry, the W9. Upload the W9 here through the portal, through this Magic League technology, and that way it gets sent to us. And you have it. And then once they upload it, it'll be here and you'll be able to see it. And then once it gets uploaded, you can then push it to QBO. So you'll be able to review it and approve it and push it to QBO. Um, so basically, it lets you see which vendors are you need to get a W-9 for. Then it lets you review the W-9s. If you need it, you can then request it. And then once it's requested, you can push it to QBO to file the 1099s and manage that all from inside here. Um, uh, so this is a good question. There's something I want to ask you guys. I'm gonna do a poll for this. Um, where would you rather request the W-9 from? Do you want to request the W-9 from the vendor or the client? The reason I ask is because I like the idea of requesting it from the vendor because you get it straight from them. They're the ones that have it. But some people feel weird about going straight to the vendor, so you can also request it from the client, right? But then you're going through a middleman. You're dependent on your client getting it. Like it's going to slow things down. So where would you rather request it from? I'm going to launch a poll. Where would you rather request it from? Ooh, let's see what's happening. It's kind of 50-50 right now. Yes. So Alice, to answer your question, if you do have a 1099 or W9 in QBO, it will show it here. And you can review it. All right. Vendors will not need access to Financial Sense. They're just going to get an email and there's a magic link they click. They don't need to get a code or anything because they're not getting access to the full portal. And they'll be able to upload the 1099. We're also going to create a form where they can fill it out and it'll automatically fill it into 1099. But for the first version, it's just going to be upload the 1099. So it's actually 50-50. Well, that's good because we said we're going to allow you to do both. So you'll actually have the ability to request it from the vendor or the client. You'll be able to choose. Um, and one other thing I want to ask, so let me end this poll, is actually let me check this real quick. Let me show you, let me see if I can show you the client experience. I don't think I have that yet, to be honest, in the design. Okay, so let's go back to here. But yeah, it'll be super simple. So other question about this report is, so right now we have 1099 needed, right? So for some vendors, you may be like, I don't need a 1099. There might be a special use case, right? And then you can say no, and then you'll be able to exclude it from this list. But I have seen other apps where they have unknown as an option. So I'm gonna drop this as another poll. For this 1099, back, for this 1099 thing, is yes or no just fine, or do you also need an unknown option? Oh wow, this is unanimous. Okay, drop it. Oh wait, no, wait. There's some people. Okay, let me ask you this. Keep voting. Why do you need unknown? Why is unknown important? Drop it in the chat. Why is unknown important? Shirley, what's the red flag? Okay. You don't know until you see the W9. So like this is my question then. Um, is it why is it valuable to have that unknown like like segmentation, being able to segment that if you could just leave it as 1099 needed until you get the W9 and review it. Or but do you really is it important to distinguish between unknown and yes? The client will not see this page I'm showing you here. Okay. So there's some questions around here like should it say 1099 needed or W9 needed? It would it be better for this to say W9 needed instead of 1099 needed? Because you need the W9 technically, right, to know if the 1099 is needed. Both. Okay. I don't fully. Okay. All right. This is what we're gonna do. Everyone that's dropping this in the chat, I'm gonna have we're gonna reach out to some of you guys to get some more context on this because this is a good question. Yeah, but so that's what I'm saying. You need the W9 to know if the 1099 is needed, right? But why would there need to be a yes or no for W9? Because you're gonna need the W9 at the end of the day. Okay, whether you have it or not. So so you're going to be able to know whether or not you have the W9 on file because that's going to show here in this clip icon. That may have not have been clear. So you could click here and see the W9 from QBO, for example. So you'll be able to know if you have the W9 or not. That being said, it doesn't sound, maybe it makes sense to break this out into a separate column. Okay. So it's easier to know that. Okay, so separate. W9 pen is not easy. The attachment icon is not simple. And put before W9 needed. Also be able to filter by ones with. So you also want to be able to filter by the ones with W9s. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about this. From what I'm hearing, maybe we put a W9 column here, right? You'll be able to see which ones have W9s, and if they have them, you can click it to view them. So it'd be like an eye icon. And then here we'll have the 1099 right after it because 1099 comes after the W9. That being said, do we still need the unknown? Could yes and no be enough given now you have the W9 column there? Or do you still want the unknown? If you want the unknown, type in unknown. If you don't want it, just say yes and no. Unknown is like, I don't know. I just see apps do it. That's why I'm wondering. Okay, no unknown is needed if we have the W9 column. Okay, all right. This is very helpful. Um, so, oh, one other question is, so right now we're thinking about calling this 1099 and W9 preparation or prep. What should we call this report that summarize what it does and what it gives you? So like I have a poll actually. I'm curious. So 1099 prep, I see. I'm gonna run a poll on to drop in the chat what you guys like, but uh I'm gonna launch this poll as well because I had I need to end the current poll. I'm launching a new poll. Which do you like better? So 1099 prep, W9 review, 1099 vendors, 1099 prep. Okay. Okay, looks like prep is winning. So let me ask you this. Do we just call it 1099 prep or do we just call it, or do we still call it W9 and 1099 prep? Okay, looks pretty unanimous on 1099 prep. Do you, okay, it doesn't really matter. I might be overthinking this. Okay. All right. Let me end this poll. All right. Let me see. Was there any other questions around this? Do you, okay, actually, oh wait, she already changed this. Okay, so I want to ask this. This thing we said 1099 needed here, but is it better to say track 1099 and then yes or no? Because I know in QBO they use the term track 1099. So you like 1099 needed question mark or track 1099? Leave it. All right. Give the people what they want. Okay, perfect. So so Amanda's got a really, so Amanda's our product manager. Everyone say hi to her. She's in the chat. She's the one listening to all your feedback right now and writing it down. Um, so she has a question. Should the reminder cadence, question around the reminder cadence. Should the reminder notifications for the vendors and clients for this report be the same as the notification frequency for the transaction review reports? So let me kind of explain this a little bit better. Um, and Amanda, tell me if I'm wrong. Message me privately. So what we're thinking is the ability is you can set up your automated reminder schedule. So like, is it weekly? Is it monthly? Every 4 days or whatever here, right? On the settings. And basically now when you send a message to a client or a vendor for any of these reports, transaction reports, vendor reports, yeah, these two reports are the main ones where you interact with your clients for transaction vendors. It's going to use this reminder frequency. So it's a catch-all for all your reports. Like remind them every week. You can't customize it on a report by report basis. So the question is, do you want a report by report customization? Is that too much? Or do you want it on an overall setting? Like you can set it here. So now every time you send a question, there's an automatic reminder that just comes into effect. What's better? Oh, there's okay. There's some okay. It seems like we need a poll because there's some mixed feelings. Okay. Um, New poll. Uh, how should we do the reminders for the MEC reports? Customize on a visual report. Set on uh let's say I'm gonna set on a same for all reports. Okay, I'm sending this live. Uh, so there's do it on a report by report basis or do it on like the setting basis and it's like the same frequency for all reports. Come on. The benefit is like it's gonna be a lot easier because it just automatically happens versus like each time you do it, you have to like that's our opinion on it. But there may be a really good reason why for one of these reports you might want to follow up every week versus the others every month, and that's where the question is. Recaps would fall in this same category. Okay. All right. Gonna end the poll. All right, that's helpful. So basically, if it was on this level, it'd basically all be daily or all be weekly, right? Versus on a report level, you could say this report I want to remind them daily, this report I want to remind them weekly. So that would be the big difference. Okay, this is helpful. Um, so actually, Amanda dropped in. So when you're requesting a 1099 from a client, Amanda dropped in. Amanda Appreciio. I think I said that right. What's the verdict? I can't tell you yet. Um, um, uh, what the language is for the request, and I'll actually show it actually here. Oh no, here. A client requested your client name has requested your W-9. This is to the vendor, right? What does it show? ABC Bookkeeping is requesting your W-9 on behalf of blank client for their records. Um, yeah. So I ignored this dear vendor name. Does that look good? Beautiful. Perfect. Yeah, we spent a lot of time beta testing this one, so we've already made a lot of iterations based off the feedback. So it's going to be looking really good out the gate. Again, this W-9 1099 prep is not coming in the first version. It will be the goal is to release it at the end of November, so you have it in time for end of the year, and 1099 prep. But the first version of month end close should be released next week. Okay, that's the big one. I really wanted to ask a lot of questions around. Anything I'm missing on the month-end close that you guys would like to ask about, or even just the whole 1099 W9 piece? Chat, internal chat. Jenny, we got that there. We'll talk about that. Well, it's coming, but not in V1. Okay, so this is a question that's come up, and I want to be very clear about this. If you are already using recats, right, which is literally just the uncategorized report. If you're already using recats, and let's say you want to use month-end close, the beauty of it is recats is included in the month-end close. So the goal is this is gonna, if you want to use this, you can use on a client by client basis, and it's $5 a month per client. So if you're already paying for recats, that doesn't mean you have to pay $5 a month for month-end close and $4 for recat, so it's $9 a month. That's not how that works. It means you go from paying $4 a month for just recats to $5 a month for all of this. So that's how that works. I just want to make sure that's clear. There's been a lot of confusion with people that are already using recats. It's basically part of month end close. You only pay an extra dollar a month per client to get everything. So that's how that's going to work for the people that are on recats. Also, recats is going to improve because we made a lot of improvements to recats through all of this research and process. Um, okay. Um, that's everything. We talked about some of the new features. We talked about what's coming up. The 1099 prep is going to be awesome. The month and close feature is going to be awesome, but the 1099 prep is going to be really great for the end of the year. Our goal is to get it out into this month so you have it for the end of the year and you can start using it. Um, but thanks for sharing that. I'll go check that out. For the 1099, I don't know how that works for Canada, to be honest. I don't know if it's different. We won't have it for Canadian firms. It's only going to work for the Christopher paywall updates. So locking deliverables behind a paywall coming, but it's on the next list of things we're tackling. Um, so the 1099 prep is going to be included in the month end close. So basically, all of this I showed you, the account reconciliation, the transaction review, the 1099, the vendor reports and the 1099 prep, as well as like linking to the QBO for reports from and financials into your quality control. All of this is included in the month end close module. So it's just all bundled together, right? And you'll get all of this for just, if you get to choose which clients you want to use it on. So let's say you have 10 clients, right? You want to use it with all 10 clients. It would be $5 per client, which means it would be per month. So it'd be $50 a month for all 10 clients. So that's how it works. And you get to choose if you want to use it with all clients or just 5 clients or start with three, test it out, then add it to the rest. Like it'll be full customization. So that's how that works. I'm gonna scroll past these meeting notes. Okay. Um, I think that's everything. I think we got through all the questions. If I missed anything, just feel free to shoot the team a message. Again, month and close. The goal is to be releasing this next week. So if you're interested in this, go to your client profile sometime next week. You'll see a month and close tab and can start using it. Um, and I'm going to be doing a webinar probably the week after next to actually kind of walk through it once it is all live as well. So I hope you guys are excited. A lot of other cool functionality coming. Month and Close took up a lot of this call because it's a big release, but there's a lot of big improvements coming to workflow, a lot of big improvements just coming to a lot of the parts of the app. So yes, next week. Next week is Month and Close. Um, Basically, you'll just see it. and you can just choose to add it on to your individual clients. We'll be sending an email out about it. We'll be sending an in-app out message about it, so you'll see all the steps and how it's going to work. But yeah, excited to show you guys this. Until then, see you guys next month. Take care, everyone.